Hey, what's going on, guys? This is going to be my review of last night's feature presentation from May the 25th, American Pie 2 from 2001. The first film was made in 1999 and takes place after high school prom senior year. American Pie 2 was made in 2001, just 2 years later. It takes place the summer after the boys' freshman year in college. So the continuity in this is excellent. The characters, the actors they brought back are all the exact same. This one clocks in at 111 minutes. That is one of the problems with this film. I'll get into that as we do the review. This one stars Jason Biggs as Jim Lowenstein. Eddie K. Thomas is back as Finch. Thomas Ian Nicholas is Kevin. And then we have Chris Klein is back as Oz. Sean William Scott as Stifler. The girls are Allison Hannigan with an increased role in this is Michelle, and Tara Reid, and Mina Suvari, whose role is diminishing in this as she is overseas for the summer. Eugene Levy is a little more utilized in this one as Jim's dad. He's really good. Chris Owen is back as the Shermanator. Shannon Elizabeth comes back as Nadia. Jennifer Coolidge is in this again as Stifler's mom, but in an uncredited role. And then one of the interesting credits in this is Larry Drake as Jim's college girlfriend's father, comes in and catches them together at the end of the year. Larry Drake, who was in Trucker's Woman, a must-watch for the spring season of movie watching, and he's also has a tiny role in The Seniors, 1978. It's really strange to see Larry Drake in this film. Comedy sequels, not easy to make. Comedy sequels are obligatory in a lot of cases, but they're not easy to make good. This one is good. It has a strong, it may have the strongest storyline of the four films in the series. It has an overarching theme of continuing friendships from high school as they're going through college, and then dealing with changes that are coming. Jim Lowenstein is one of the central characters in this. He's prepping to get with Nadia again, who's coming home for the summer. The four boys and Stifler move to a lake house, and Lowenstein is prepping for her return, and doesn't want to be awkward with her in bed, and so he enlists the help of his high school prom date, Michelle, who's at band camp. The Finch character in this is not very good. I did not like his character. Understand they need to develop him a little more, and he was much funnier when he was awkward and clumsy in the first one, and this one I did not find him being very funny. I did like the Kevin and Vicky characters. I love how they go into depth about Kevin being like friend zoned by her, and he clearly still likes her. She's his ex-girlfriend. She is completely moved on from him. They're kind of being friends, but he's looking for something more, and it really does a good job of going into that. Oz is the least interesting of the four guys. Now his girlfriend, as I said, Mina Suvari, is in Spain, I think it is, for the summer, and I think the directors and the writers were struggling to find a storyline for him, and it really shows. And in part 3, they're gonna write him off altogether, and as well as Mina Suvari. I don't think they're even mentioned in part 3. They're not going to be involved in it at all. Also found a little plot hole with Oz in this, how Stifler mentions him as being this cool guy, and I missed the cool guy who he had all the moves in high school, and now he's being like a one-woman man with his girlfriend. But in the first one, he's a virgin. So like, how is he this like guy with all the moves if he's like hanging out with the three kind of nerdy guys and he's in that group? So it just seems a little strange. I mean, I know he played lacrosse and all, but he was striking out with the girls, just as badly as the other three. So it's a little bit of a plot hole there. Jessica is the friend of Vicky. She's the most engaging character, and she's very underutilized in this. That's another plot hole in this, that all these five boys, they moved to the lake house for the summer, which is clearly a good ways out of town. Yet you have the same friends from high school that magically live there too, or at least make the trip down there, like Vicky and Jessica, and then even the Shermanator shows up, the MILF guy shows up, so it's a little bit too convenient, but it's a comedy. Stifler is the funniest. I talked about how he is the most celebrated character in the franchise. He really helps this movie out. He saves it in a lot of scenes as well, and he has the least growth in character development by the end of the film. This is important because this plays out as we get into the final entry into this series, American Reunion 2012, and he's like 35 years old, and he hasn't really grown up. This should have been cut to 90 minutes, 95 minutes, somewhere in there. It was 111 minutes. This is a problem with this film. I have seen this maybe a half a dozen times, and this time I skipped the house painting scene with the two lesbians who live there. It's a really stupid scene. They repeat this similar error in part 3. So skipping this scene I would recommend, unless you haven't seen this film and you want to see it. But that could have been cut out. Also the scene at the band camp where everyone mistakes Jim as a retarded trumpet player. That didn't work either. It was pretty stupid. So there could have been some things really just cut out of here that weren't really that funny. Part 1 was so sharp. It was so fresh. And how do you make a teen sex comedy seem that way? That is the mystery to me of why part 1 was so good. In part 2, you can start to taste some of the staleness is coming out, and some of the repetitiveness. The urine bath that Stifler gets is stupid. It's a rehash of a scene in the first film. The apple pie scene is replaced with a super glue scene, which that scene is pretty funny, but more the aftermath of it is funnier. Again, Stifler saves that scene with a good one-liner. This summer's turning out to be great, but the scene itself, it's kind of a rehash. I think it's okay though. It was pretty funny. The band camp stuff, I think it's kind of cool that we got to get an insight into the band camp, but it's run into the ground by the end of the film, especially that trombone scene. The trombone scene where he's playing it in front of the audience, and there's another trombone scene that's a gag. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it's gross. It's not funny. It's just gross, and it's really stupid. It should have been left out. Stifler saves several scenes with some really funny one-liners to end the scene. Stifler's brother is stupid. I didn't like him in the first one, and I hated him even worse in the second one. But Kevin's brother, the guy who he talked to on the phone in part 1, and then he talks to him again for advice in part 2, I think is really good. I think this is an underrated character because it gives us a glimpse into kind of the future. In the first one, you see Kevin's brother in a bar when he calls him, so you get this sense that he's kind of in that early working life stage of his life. And then in the second one, we see him like kind of in this suit, and he's kind of got this better job when he's talking to him on the phone, giving him advice. And planting this idea into Kevin's head about this theme of things are changing with people, and it's going to start getting weird from here on out. So I think Kevin's brother was really good. We also get an idea of how far apart they are. I think it's about 7 years. This takes place in like 2000, and it says that Kevin's brother graduated in 1993, or had his first summer back from college in 1993. There's a little separation there, enough for adequate like change. And so that's a really good, I think he's a really underrated character. And the directors do a really good job of showing this whole thing about things starting to change, even early, with showing Jim coming back to his room at home after coming home from college, his first summer back. It's kind of this dark room, and he says weird. And then even the first high school party that the boys go to, they're starting to sense like this doesn't seem the same. So they do a really good job of doing this throughout the film. And then at the end, it kind of comes to a culmination, which I think it's a really good scene of the four main characters on the beach, not the beach, but it's kind of like a beach. It's a huge lake. I think it's like Lake Michigan. And they are, you get confessions from Finch, who says I'm stuck in this obsession with Stifler's mom. And then Kevin admitting that he never took that next step that they talked about at the end of part 1. Here's to the next step. And that Kevin admits he's been stuck in the past, that he's been wanting to do the high school party thing and be with dating Vicky, his high school girlfriend. So he kind of wants to do the same thing. And then we also see Jim in the lighthouse with Nadia, the hot Eastern European girl, telling her, "You're everything that I wanted a year ago, but now I want Michelle." And so you see them kind of going through the thought process of I need to kind of change, as and grow. They all reconcile and realize they need to move on towards the end of the movie, but not from each other, as they say we're going to do this every summer. And there's kind of a sadness in seeing this. I will say, like, overall, it's a really good feel-good ending. The last 30 minutes are very tight, very effective, but there's a little bit of a sad feeling seeing that line at the end where they say, should we do this every summer? Because if you've ever been through that, like for anyone who has been home from college the first year and like gets back together with their high school friends, or graduates from college and then gets back with their college friends like the next fall for homecoming, that strange feeling of things changing, but you also know that feeling of we're going to keep this together for as long as we possibly can. And everyone knows that almost never happens. So it's kind of a little bit of a thing that was a little bit of a sad feeling to it. The directors are brothers, and they are the same director as the first one, and they really gifted us with American Pie in 1999 and with the series here. And I'm especially thankful that they are fans of the 1984 largely ignored movie Hot Moves, which is a Porky's ripoff itself. They continue to borrow some of those same things they saw from Hot Moves as they did in part 1. The entire theme of the kids making the pact to lose their virginity is taken directly from Hot Moves, 1984, and a lot of the other little scenes and ideas. And in this one, they continue that. Even the binoculars scene with Stifler and his brother hiding behind a little sand dune and watching Shannon Elizabeth in her two-piece is a direct lift from Hot Moves with that nude beach scene, and then the Jim and Nadia scene in the lighthouse with him deciding not to go through with it with her and go back to his high school prom date, who he has a better connection with, is the exact same as we saw in the end of Hot Moves. There's the exact same scene as that. And I know the idea of turning down the hot girl for the girl next door has been done, like in movies before Hot Moves and after Hot Moves, but it's just yet another thing they lifted from Hot Moves 1984. Probably going to get to part 3, American Wedding 2003, and probably going to get to American Reunion 2012, and maybe do reviews on those. But for a sequel, for a comedy sequel, teen sex comedy sequel, this is really good. It's definitely worth a watch. It hits on a lot of scenes. Not as many laugh out loud moments, but there are laugh out loud moments, and it does have a little bit of staleness to it. But overall, it's a really good movie because it has the same thing that really held the first one together, and that is just the heart of it, and that's really reinforced in this film. So that's my review of American Pie 2001, the sequel, American Pie 2. Hope you enjoyed. This is the Frank Addington channel. If you missed the first review, American Pie 1999, it's right here on the Frank Addington channel. See you for the next one. Later, guys.